Have you ever looked around this messed up world and just cried out to God? God, please fix it. Please make it better. Please, Lord. It's broken. It's broken, and the small children are being taught wickedness. And we need you. That's a prayer that's very common. Habakkuk prayed it. And this is when Israel was being wicked. But he says, "O Lord, how long shall I cry, and you will not hear? Even cry out to you, violence, and you will not save. Why do you show me iniquity, and cause me to see trouble? For plundering and violence are before me. There is strife, and contention arises. Therefore the law is powerless, and justice never goes forth. For the wicked surround the righteous. Therefore perverse judgment proceeds." And God said to him, "Look among the nations and watch, be utterly astounded, for I will work a work in your day, which you would not believe, though it were told to you. For indeed I am rising up the Chaldeans." And the Chaldeans came against Israel and judged the nation, and God's judgment came. It will be the same. And as you continue to read in Habakkuk, Habakkuk actually has a vision of the end times, of that judgment that is coming. And he said, "Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. But at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Behold the proud, his soul is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith." And then Habakkuk sees God came from Teman, the Holy One from Mount Paran. His glory covered the heavens. The earth was full of his praise. His brightness was like the light, and he had rays flashing from his hands, and his power was hidden. Before him went pestilence, and fever followed at his feet. He stood and measured the earth. He looked and startled the nations. And the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills bowed. His ways are everlasting. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction. The curtains of the land of Midian trembled. O Lord, were you displeased with the rivers? Was your anger against the rivers? Was your wrath against the sea? That you rode on your horses, your chariots of salvation? Your bow was made quite ready. Oaths were sworn over your arrows. You divided the earth with rivers. The mountains saw you and trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered its voice and lifted its hands on high. The sun and the moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of your arrows they went, at the shining of your glittering spear. You marched through the land in indignation. You trampled the nations in anger. You went forth for the salvation of your people, for the salvation with your anointed. You struck the head from the house of the wicked by laying bare the foundation to the neck. You thrust through with his own arrows the head of his villages. They came out like a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was like feasting on the poor secret. You walked through the sea with your horses, through the heap of great waters. When I heard, my body trembled. My lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble. Habakkuk wants to die before this happens. It's so frightening to him when he sees this vision. That I may rest in the day of trouble. When he comes up to the people, he will invade them with his troops. And then Habakkuk has something to say that we all need to take to heart. He says, though the fig tree may not blossom, nor the fruit be on the vines, though the labor of the olive may fail, and the fields yield no food, though the flock may be cut off from the fold, and there be no herd in the stall, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. The Lord God is my strength. He will make my feet like deer feet, and he will make me walk on the high hills. So what is this saying? Habakkuk is crying out for justice. He says, God, how long will these violent, wicked people have reign over this earth? How long will you make me look at this wickedness that is overcoming the world? And God said to him, I'm raising up the Chaldeans to judge Israel because of their wickedness. Justice is coming. And then God gives Habakkuk a vision of the end. A vision that's so frightening to Habakkuk that he says, God, please just let me die before this happens. Daniel, same thing. When he sees visions of the end times, he's reassured that he's going to be dead before they come. So he has this vision, and he sees God coming in his glory from the east, arrayed in light and judging the nations. And you see these natural disasters, the mountains shaken, the hills flattened, the sea uttering its voice and raising its hands, kind of like a tsunami or a giant disaster. And as you read this, you realize God's judgment is coming. His justice is real. Most of us can't handle what's going to happen to the world, even thinking about what's going to happen to the world when God actually judges it. So keep praying. Pray that you may be counted worthy to escape. Pray that you be with him. And when the true wrath of God comes, there's going to be a time of the Antichrist ruling and the wicked reigning, and you're going to be looking around going, God, it's just getting worse and worse. Where are you? Pray that no one that you love is here when his wrath comes, because he wants us safe. He wants us with him. He wants us to overcome the world and live eternally with him. And those of us who do, we will be safe in that time. We'll be like Habakkuk and Daniel. We will be resting when God's wrath falls. But when God's wrath falls on the wicked, it's going to be horrifying. And the time leading up to that time of Jacob's trouble, that time of the buildup, that first 3.5 years before the Antichrist reveals himself and sits down in the temple, that time is going to be a time where Christians everywhere will be crying out, God, where are you? Why have you not acted? And then we'll see what he does. Frankly, my sense of justice is not developed strongly enough. I have a hard time, very hard time, wrapping my mind around the judgment that's coming on this world. And I pray for mercy. I pray that people will escape, that they will see the truth and they will come to Christ and they will escape the coming judgment. This world is broken. We're living in a broken world. The world is only going to get worse. And then we will be taken out of it. Judgment will fall. And we'll get to live in a world ruled by Jesus, in a world that is significantly better. I can't wait for that day, but the lead up to it terrifies me. So I guess the whole point of this is just hold on, keep praying. You make sure you and your family are right with God. You make sure the people around you have heard the message, because they're walking in wickedness and judgment is coming, and you don't want that for them. You may be crying out for justice and for God to fix it, and we all should, but at the same time, try to save as many out of that judgment as you can. Do what you can to bring them to Christ so that when that judgment falls, they're safe. I hope this helps.